Okay, Rugby Australia is to cut its workforce by a third. A third of its employees are going to be made redundant, and that's also 30 subcontractors as well, who are not directly employed by Rugby Australia but do work on behalf of the organisation. That's worrying. Um, they are reporting losses of up to 120 million Australian dollars in the coming months. That's predicted. That's a big loss. They're making no profit right now. They are making a loss. What is concerning is the NRL has already restarted. The AFL has a restart date in the coming weeks. They're behind the ball in restarting as well. But the other issues are long-standing mismanagement, lack of investment at grassroots level, overpaying some of their star players, paying through the nose to get players to switch codes from league to union as well, and then offering these big centralised contracts, which backfired when they crashed out the World Cup unceremoniously last year. The team hasn't got better. They've lost Western Force from Super Rugby, although Western Force is still a going concern, but in a different competition at a lower level. And that's denuded the Wallabies of some of their best talent. Now they're going into this crisis. Fans won't be in attendance coming out of this crisis at games, which is a problem. But the issues are going to be there, and they're going to remain. Whoever comes in as the permanent CEO to replace Ryan Castle is going to have to think where they spend the money. Big centralised contracts on a handful of players or grassroots development. And what they haven't been doing enough of is grassroots development, the semi-pro game, the domestic competition, the Shoot Shield, working with more schools across all territories and states in Australia, because League and Aussie rules are further ahead with more amateur clubs, more grassroots clubs, more youth clubs, more involvement with the sports in schools. Rugby Union is lagging behind massively in that regard. And they've gone from this top-down approach, the win-now approach, with, like, we'll get players to switch codes. We'll throw some money at them. It didn't work. And Israel Folau, Cora Betty and Rad Rada sum that up, really. Amongst other rugby league players that they've enticed to leave the NRL and come over, it hasn't worked. It really hasn't. If it was to work, they would have won the World Cup in 2015. They would have probably got, if it was to work, they would have got further in the World Cup in 2019. It hasn't worked. They've spent a lot of money overpaying these players, and then the Israel Folau saga led to legal consequences and led to an out-of-court settlement that was rumoured to be around 8 to 10 million Australian dollars he got paid out. That's a huge chunk of these losses that they're reporting in the last 12 months and into this year. They are losing a lot of money, and they haven't restarted yet. The NRL is already playing games. The AFL is about to start playing games. They're behind the ball in the restart phase of the sport. Other sports are taking the lead. Other leagues are ahead of them in Australia. They're risking losing their fan base on TV, and when fans are allowed back into stadiums, fans going to games. And all you see from Rugby Australia is negative headlines. Whoever comes in is going to have to think where they spend the money wisely. And I honestly believe the best way for Rugby Australia to turn itself around and turn the sport around is in grassroots development, youth development, amateur game. Work with the grassroots and the local clubs across Australia and give them more funding. That's where the problem really lies. Yes, they're losing money because they're not playing games, but in reality, long term, regardless of this pandemic, they were going to be struggling and be against the wall anyway. The TV deal that is being negotiated is going to be less than the TV deal they currently have. That is a problem. Sponsors, some sponsors have withdrawn sponsorship because of Israel Folau. That is a problem. The mismanagement behind the scenes predates Riding Castle. This has been a long time being badly managed by the Old Boys Club. Riding Castle was never the right person for the role either, but while she was there, she had all these problems that had been long-standing that no one had done anything about, but she didn't have the willingness to do anything about them either. So the issues are still going to be there. And what I fear is Rugby Union Australia could take a generation to fix. And it could lose so much ground on the NRL, on the AFL, on cricket, on the A-League, that when it does start recovering and money starts coming back in, it's going to be still far behind the curveball when it comes to the other sports, the other leagues. It's going to be playing catch up, and that's hard to do in a congested sports market in a sports-mad country. But there we go, Rugby Australia has announced it's cutting a third of its workforce. Not good news. But I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.